because they have to catch Gambit, who are 2-0.
Already rattling through the bans here. Rainbow7 on the blue, Kaos Latin Gamers on the red side. Karma, Morgana, and the Caitlyn removed by Rainbow7. Azir, Trundle, and the Kai'Sa taken away by Kaos Latin Gamers.
Ooh, the Varus first pick. Now, I was expecting a Rakan first pick. It's something that Gambit's been doing, which forces the Xayah to come out as an answer. Whereas here, Xayah Rakan could be picked up here by the CLS.
This is exactly what Rainbow7 did last time, though. When that Varus was available as the first pick, they locked it in. Kaos Latin Gamers might even match what Ascension did and get that Rakan and Xayah that you've been talking about. Rakan has been so influential throughout throughout MSI thus far.
It's really interesting here too because Tienwulf now has a very aggressive jungler, but I think one thing that needs to be talked about here is that these two teams, you expect them to be bottom lane focused. Tienwulf has such a high jungle proximity, #1 for jungle proximity with his 80 carry fix, and Nate gets almost no attention. And one of Nate's best champions is Gangplank. And what GP allows you to do is go into the top lane and still influence the bottom side of the map. So I expect it to be here because it was left unbanned.
We're going to see another aggressive jungler come out from Oddie. Tienwulf and Oddie have a long time been rivals in the Latin American region, but never actually faced each other until today. So we'll have to see who comes out on the top of that battle in this game.
Yeah, that's kind of the matchup that I have my eye on here is Oddie versus Tienwulf, because that influences Whitelotus versus Fix very heavily. And they both have aggressive junglers. And now we're seeing that it's not matched roles across the board. The CLS Kaos Latin Gamers will have the Xayah Rakan combo, and then they also have an aggressive jungler, whereas they have Oddie on that Kha'Zix. I really like that pickup here. Very aggressive, not going for any of those tanks.
And the Ornn for Jirall in the top lane. That is the tank for the team. Now, Kaos Latin Gamers can focus out support, especially that Braum who is good into Xayah Rakan. They'll take that away. Rainbow7 have a lot of different options as to where they focus the second phase of bans.
Yeah, you kind of go for that top lane is what I would think, because you already have your Ornn locked in. You can go ahead and just strangle that pool a little harder, get the Scion out of there. If you're worried about tanks, Cho'Gath, Maokai jump up. Nate doesn't get a lot of attention, so I think the GP is really something that they should consider here. And I don't know if he'll go for any carries like the Aurelia or the Camille.
He's not the player that Mantarraya was in that top lane. He's not the carry for the team. He's very much a role player who just picks up a tank, picks up the GP, and influences the rest of the map through that.
Yeah, much less extravagant name as well.
Yes,
going
true.
from like Mantarraya to Nate. It's very different. Night and day, actually. And there's the GP ban.
Good prediction on that, Zirene. We'll have to see now where Kaos Latin Gamers go. Could be towards that top lane. Swain's still available for them as well, and they will lock that in for themselves.
Which does allow for a flex pick here. It could go to Plugo, it could go to Nate. It's a very dominant top laner. In fact, we're seeing more and more mages in the top lane, like Ryze and Cassiopeia have been played up there. But right now, we're waiting to see what Rainbow7 lock in here.
So because we've said it's so bot lane focused, both these teams like to play around that bot lane. Is there a support that would really facilitate that for Rainbow7?
With the Alistar and the Braum kind of banned away here, I actually think Thresh is something that you could counterpick the Rakan with, but things like the Nami allow you to dominate the lane a little harder. Nami Janna could jump up there as something that protects, but I guess
Leona jumps right up there as well. Second Leona we have seen today. Not something we really saw at all before 8.8.
So something that I had heard previously, I believe it was Cloud9 Smoothie had told me this, was that Leona is good into Xayah because you can stun lock her before she can R. If you actually just chain CC, you're able to actually execute on that and make sure that she can't actually go invulnerable or untargetable.
So we are going to have Anivia locked in here for, I assume, Plugo in the mid lane.
Yeah!
Swain will go top for Nate, you would assume as well, but there is still a tiny bit of flexibility for both these teams.
And this is just a lot of wave clear for Kaos Latin Gamers, whereas Rainbow7 are going to have to rely a little bit on, I would say, some janky wave clear, where you have the Varus, who's not going to have a lot of AD with the piercing arrow, and then the Cassiopeia isn't that same type of effectiveness in terms of range. So it's going to be very hard for Rainbow7 to, if they get a lead, close the game out. They already struggle with that, having a 37-minute average game time, despite having enormous leads, whereas KLG, they'll be able to stall for a long time here with this comp.
And if they stall, does their team comp actually outscale Rainbow7 as well? Because as much as you can stall the game a long time, you still have to be able to win the fights at the end.
Yeah, the question comes down to tankiness. It's not, damage is not an issue with this team. You have Xayah, Rakan, Anivia, and Swain. It's really that tankiness, the durability that matters when you're up against Leona and the Ornn. So those front-to-back team fights would favor Rainbow7, but KLG, they're going to have to get crafty. The Anivia wall, dividing fights and getting the right engages is what you're looking for.
All about playing around disruption and zone control in those team fights. We'll have to watch that for KLG. Rainbow7, on the other hand, have a lot of damage themselves. Varus, Cassiopeia, Kha'Zix, and an aggressive bottom lane with the Leona Varus.
Yeah, that aggressive bottom lane, Genthix, looking to see what he does with this Leona. We've already seen the Leona earlier today. It was played by Kaos Latin Gamers with the Jhin. It didn't work out for them. In fact, they were playing up against Xayah, Rakan, and it wasn't something that worked out at all. Edward was a little too fast for him.
Edward was very good in that lane, but you have to remember the fact that Diamondprox had that level 2 gank down there as well, burnt the Jin's flash, burnt the Jin's heal, and it just stopped them actually from ever being able to react in that lane. Here you've got the Xayah and Rakan. It's a little bit safer. Sorry, you've got the Varus. It's a little bit safer, so maybe we'll see a little bit more action down towards the bottom lane. We are going to get onto the Summoner's Rift. As you can see, KLG a little bit aggressive with their positioning here, trying to scout out the enemy jungle.
Yeah, I like this so far from what they've done. They have 2 people running Minion Dematerializer up against an Ornn. Where you're running so much magic damage, that's kind of what you're looking for, is the Banner of Command would shut down the Swain top. That's kind of one of the big counters to it.
Have to keep our eyes on that as the game does develop early on. KLG have snuck their way in towards this blue buff. Have vision on it as well if Oddie's going to sit around there. Maybe waiting for Jirall to face check into this bush, but Jirall, ever safe, walks the long way round towards the blue. Just going to check it out for himself.
Got to check your buffs. Earlier today, we had a blue buff stolen away because nobody was checking it, and that's where that level 2 gank came in from the Trundle. So now KLG, they're going to actually go for an invade here on the opposite side, while protecting their own blue buff. So they're making sure that it's not a trade of objectives here, and that the Kha'Zix will have to potentially go through the early game without one. And Oddie's actually rotating to the other side, so he's not going to get a blue buff here. Oh,
no, he's not.
Think about it. Nope. Okay. Yeah, he will not get a blue buff.
Indecisive insect, I think we can agree there. Yeah, not going to get the buff. He did know the buff was getting stolen as well, so maybe even going to challenge the red here as Tienwulf goes to his Razor Beaks.
But he's spotted on that ward that was placed down as they actually exited. Zombie ward, I believe, is what popped up there. So Oddie knows that he's spotted, but he's going in because he knows that Olaf gets low. Tienwulf versus Oddie. The
jump in, Oddie, the flash away, the flash in for Oddie! That's how you make a stand in the jungle.
That is asserting dominance if I have ever seen it. Flashes under the turret to finish him off there. Tienwulf not respecting it. I believe he saw him coming in with the ward from earlier, but still he didn't think Oddie would go for that play.
The long-term Twitter war has taken to Summoner's Rift, and at the moment it's 1-0 to Oddie. Tienwulf even used his flash to try and get away. Look at this.
Yeah, he's just trying to pick up the camps. That's so much damage from the electrocute. The fact he jumped on him and then eventually he got out of vision again, so he once again refreshed the passive for that final hit.
That's an incredible start for this game. Kaos Latin Gamers falling behind early on once again. It seems to be the curse that they lose a kill early in every single one of their games. We saw it against Gambit at the start of the day as well. Tienwulf still only level 2, but will get his blue buff at least, so doesn't come out empty-handed from his jungle.
Yeah, and Oddie actually got his own blue buff back, so everything, I guess, is
just resetting the cooldown.
In balance
it's just
there.
Like,
so.
I just want a buff refresh, please.
That's a situation where Oddie should be kind of just pushed out of the game, but it doesn't matter when he goes for a crazy play like that. And that's that X factor where he's able to catch Tienwulf off guard. And that really does influence the game. We talked about this as our kind of the matchup we're watching. I didn't expect it to be that explosive this early. I expected it more to be around the bottom lane. But if the junglers are both on aggressive champions and going head-to-head, then I'm really excited to see what this looks like going forward here in the next few minutes.
We'll definitely keep our eyes on them. It's a small gold lead for Rainbow7, about 600, 800 gold ahead right now. A lot of vision control gained for Kaos Latin Gamers in that bottom side jungle. So maybe we'll see Tienwulf start to play down towards that bottom lane once again.
Yeah, if he goes down towards that bottom lane, Nate's going to be okay in the top lane. He's down a lot of CS right now and catching a wave because he went for a... Well, he kind of just pushed in, I guess. Actually, this is kind of a bad situation for him. He does have the, like I thought it was a little bit better, but it's not. It actually is not even going to be close to even once they both clear these out.
Maybe Nate just playing a little bit more passive,
Yeah.
knowing that Oddie was in that top side of the jungle, had to step back a little bit more, but we did talk about that slight discrepancy between Nate and Mantaraya, the previous Kaos Latin Gamers top laner. He's not as strong. He is probably the weak link on the team.
He's not helped at all either. Right? He's somebody that they don't put resources into, so he doesn't really play carries. So having these champions where he can like bully lane, it means he gets to kind of survive the lane instead of, and go back to even as opposed to really dominate it.
He's able to even out the CS, but as you say, there's a way for Jirall, so he will probably be about 10 CS or so ahead at the end of this all. Oddie is positioning down towards this bottom lane. They have got the level 4 Leona, going to engage onto Slow here. Oddie spotted on a ward. Slow actually jumps in. They're using the teleport as well. Genthix has to flash his way away, and Plugo joins the fight. Flash, wall, hits the stun as well. Whitelotus used the heal, still has a flash of his own. He's going to be able to get underneath the tower.
And he holds it. He holds the flash, kind of. Once you know, he already used it earlier. It's
Oh, he has,
earlier,
yeah. Wow, okay. Didn't see when he used that flash, but must have just been a bit of aggression from Slow and Fix getting that out.
I was impressed that he like
Yeah, I was like, he held that really well. Just didn't have it up.
But the fact that Plugo went for that, that was actually really daring because the TP is now down. He doesn't have that lane pressure, and now his flash is down as well. Where against the Cassiopeia, if she lands that Q and starts training you down, you have no way out of that now. You're going to have to wall her off and play appropriately. Even if you stun her, he has the cleanse. So you're looking for Seiya, that guy who's back-to-back MVP, or sorry, not back-to-back MVP, but the person who's honestly so dominant in his region to kind of dictate this lane matchup, and we'll see what happens here.
Deathfire gaze onto Plugo. Not really going to do too much, just forcing him away. Seiya was trying to dodge out of the Glacial Storm, but there was a lot of damage coming down onto that Cassiopeia.
It was a good wall as well, because it made it so that he had to get pathed downward, and it was a really long kind of route out of the Glacial Storm.
So here's the flash, as we can see in the bottom corner. Whitelotus was going to get engaged on by Slow, had to flash away. That's why it wasn't up for that next fight.
Oh. Yeah, Oddie was just kind of going by mid. He'll pick up some of that CS.
And as much as the trading seemed to be relatively even early on, it feels like Kaos Latin Gamers actually had the upper hand in some of the proactive plays. Although Tienwulf fell, that bottom lane fight from Plugo, the teleport coming in as well, and even mini trades against Xayah really gives me hope for Kaos Latin Gamers as they meet up against their Latin American counterparts. Maybe it's that international buff they get against Rainbow7.
I mean, right now Rainbow7 are doing a little bit better because of that early kill.
Yeah.
It's kind of put Tienwulf behind. He now has his boots with Predator. But they're going for Genthix here.
No flash on him, remember, has still got the Ignite.
Got resistances.
That Eclipse does a lot of work on the Leona. But the bot lane does seem to be in favor of Fix and Slow and of Tienwulf as he comes down towards this bottom side. That slight CS lead as well, about 14 farm ahead. A wave pushed into the tower as well, which meant Whitelotus lost out on a little bit of experience.
And that's honestly the person that you kind of want to keep down, but simultaneously your other two lanes on the side of KLG, they're not doing too well. It's 14 CS up in the top lane for Jirall, and then it's 10 CS up for Seiya in that mid lane. And Plugo, they're saying Oddie's going to come for this.
Plugo gets spotted, but Tienwulf doesn't.
He's got base check
straight into him. Tienwulf has to flash away, smites the red buff as well. Here comes Plugo, misses the stun, but a great crystallize, and that's the damage you want from your mid laner. Call of the Forge God onto Tienwulf as well, up towards the top side. He's dodging it around, but Xayah gets there in the end. Red buff was helping out. Blast cone across the walls, get Nate to safety. Plugo had to retreat back towards his mid lane.
Man, as a jungler, I'm sitting here like, oh, this game, this is actually kind of like, you're like, this invade is an abomination right now. Everybody's just going for stuff. It's like, Tienwulf walks up. He knows somebody hit the Scryer's Bloom. He's face-checking a Kha'Zix. Plugo isn't walking up at the same time. So Plugo walks away. Plugo's like, there's no way he's going to be there. Yeah, he's there. And then Tienwulf ends up getting this kill onto Oddie. Now he's tanking the red buff. And he gets slowed. He's just going to die here. Whether or not the Cassiopeia walks up, he's just going to get punched to death by it. Oh, man. But both junglers go down. Red buff. Oh, wait. Return to the scene of the crime.
Slow's returned to the mid lane as well. But as you say, Tienwulf I believe Tienwulf got that with his smite. Oh, slow engages with the flash. Seiya has to flash away himself. Oddie just waiting in the wings.
Yeah, evolve the R. So
Nate should be a target here. Tienwulf as well. Oddie checks into him. Predator used by Tienwulf to get himself away. Plugo retreating as well. Nate has to flash. Gets the pull back onto the Ornn, but really doesn't have any damage at the moment with just the Catalyst of Aeons sitting in his inventory.
So no more action on the top side of the map. The buffs are gone. I don't expect anybody to invade for those. Bottom side of the map, Mountain Drake is up. Both these teams, their junglers seem to be bloodthirsty. They'll face check each other if you give them the opportunity to do so. And so I expect something to happen on this bottom side once they've purchased again. It seems like it was pretty recent too, so yeah, they'll just hand off buffs, they'll get some camps, but the bottom side of the map is where most of their routes are going to lead them right now. Tienwulf should be ending up on this bottom side here, whereas Oddie's going for like a full clear across the non-buff part of the map.
So Tienwulf isn't in vision at the moment, but they do know the blue buff's just been handed over, so Rainbow7 should have an awareness that Tienwulf is on the bottom side of the map. And with the Scuttle Crab there as well, doesn't spot him out, but they should know that he is somewhere nearby for the moment at least.
Yeah, the bottom lane is getting shoved in a little too hard, KLG. There was a ping in that tri-brush as if there were a ward there, but there wasn't any ward debris, and there isn't one currently. So it just seems like Rainbow7 haven't been warding up that tri-brush at all, and just making it so that they have vision in other parts near mid, and that's kind of been the focus here, is play off of Seiya's lead, because Whitelotus is behind right now. So play to their winning lane, get vision from there, and then try to extend that to other lanes. But you can see KLG are now trying to just take over this bottom side jungle and get that Mountain Drake.
That's exactly what they'll do. Control wards at either end of the river. A deep ward to spot out Oddie near that red buff as well. So they should be able to secure this one pretty easily for themselves. We said Tienwulf will play around bot side. No action, but at least he gets an objective off the back of it. Plugo comes in to help at the last moment. Mountain Drake across to Kaos Latin Gamers. It's always good against Rainbow7, who were so strong at securing dragons in their first game against Ascension. Ended up with 6 of them, if you count the Elder. Getting 1 off the board from them is a help at least.
Yeah, and especially when it's a Mountain Drake, and it looks like the next one is also going to be a Mountain Drake, which will help them a lot with their siege. And we talked about the wave clear from this team being very good.
Interesting to see Rainbow7 actually going for the early swap here, realizing they're losing the bottom lane push and taking their supporting AD carry up towards the top side.
Yeah, they're going to lose first turret off of this. They're just going to get completely destroyed. And I wonder what Plugo's going to do here, because Plugo's the pivot. If Plugo goes to top lane, he can actually prevent a turret trade, but he leaves mid lane wide open, and he gets to push mid right now. He's going to have priority.
Doesn't have the teleport, so we'll have to run all the way up towards that top lane, but it's that wave play we talked about. Oddie doesn't really care about the game, just cares about trying to kill Tienwulf. That's all he's been doing this game. Has the flash, jumps in, trying to seek his spear. Tienwulf turns it back around, though. The 1v1, Tienwulf wins it out! Who's the better jungler now?
You can see Tienwulf on the player cam, too. What now is what he's saying to Oddie. That's what I love to see.
That's a lifelong rivalry between the two of them has now culminated in them trading kills back and forth. And I mean, it does give Kaos Latin Gamers time to respond to that top lane push. They've moved Fix and Slow up towards that top side. Essence Reaver finished on Fix as well. That CS discrepancy between the AD carries has shrunk, but Fix is still ahead because of that first tower and because he has completed an item.
But that really helps KLG. KLG now, they got that first turret. They didn't lose another turret in a trade, and then they got the kill on the jungler, so they know he's not on the top side, which allows them to go for that, and now they get to swap the map. And so KLG, I actually think, are in a much better spot now. They have the Drake, they have the turret advantage, and they have the 1v1 in the jungle, which we just saw.
Going to start up the Rift Herald as well. Will be their second objective of the game alongside that Mountain Drake, and it just opens up the map even more for them. We talked about how they can stall out the game. Jirall
wait. He got interrupted.
Got interrupted by Nate. Assume that was a never move into the pull back. His Rift Herald is just dancing right at the edge of the jungle. Is resetting aggro. It gets secured by Oddie. 2-1 Oddie.
This is the most ridiculous game in terms of the junglers. They're trading everything. Like, the 2 deaths on both teams are the junglers. And then both kills for KLG are on Tienwulf. Oh my god.
They traded a Mountain for a Rift Herald.
But that was a Rift Herald, like, right in his face, too.
Yeah. Those are the worst. I don't care if I lose an objective and I'm like, I didn't have vision control, I couldn't have got positioning on it.
Another one.
It's the third red button of the game. However, Slow is in the wings. Oddie's going to try and jump away the flash. Forward, he dodged back! It's a game of hide and seek in the jungle now. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, God of the Forge God comes out onto Nate. Seiya's all the way down here as well. He goes into the Demonic Ascension, and Nate not in a good spot at all. Eventually, will eat up the Twin Fangs. Stopwatch used, but it was just delaying the inevitable. Oddie is still escaping. Went through the mid lane and gets himself away.
He tried to back with the Rift Herald in the bush. He got found out by Plugo, and then he just has to blow everything, trying to run away, and he barely gets away. Oh my God, these junglers are dancing with death. It is insane. I don't know what's just going on. These are like risks. Like, I'm sitting here as somebody who's like, oh yeah, risk analysis is something that you should go through when you're doing this. These are very high risk plays. And I don't even think the reward is that high.
Yeah, it's low reward.
But I love watching.
The mental reward, the ability to have that one-up over your opponent definitely helps.
These are the games where they came into it with a rivalry. If there wasn't a rivalry already, this is the game that solidifies the rivalry.
Definitely is. 5-time champs in Kaos Latin Gamers versus 10-time champs in Rainbow7. North and South Latin America fighting up against each other. But KLG are still ahead in objectives. They got that first tower. They're looking for a second here as well. Not even that much chip damage down on any of their own turrets. So they are ahead. They have got the push. Incredibly high jungle proximity once again for Fix. 15%. Usually it's about that 20% point, but still very high for an AD carry.
I mean, he's kind of had himself tied up a little bit here. I love that just aggressive flash. And
the
then,
charm was used as well.
And he's like, I got your back, bro. I'm going in with the ulti.
Plugo's like, I'll check this. Throws the ultimate in. Oddie's gonna blast cone.
Misses the stun there, just right over it. Has the leap again. And he just barely survives.
Sub 100 HP. Rift Herald was used in mid just for some chip damage on that tower as well. And 16 minutes in, Zirene, there's basically nothing between these two teams. 300 gold the difference. Pretty even across all lanes as well.
Yeah, it's just KLG now have more pressure with wave clear, and they have two side lanes where they've killed turrets. So the minions will be a little stronger, they'll push a little harder, and so you expect them to just have a push advantage from their composition and the state of the map. But I'm talking about the state of the map, but right now, it's like Tienwulf versus Oddie is kind of the game. Because this doesn't seem like a matter of win or lose between these guys. It seems like pride is on the line between these two junglers.
All about the game for both of them. I want to bring attention back to Seiya on that Cassiopeia as well, though. He is 2-0-0, has finished his Abyssal Mask, has been consistently one of the best players in Latin America North, and he is making plays for his team. Plugo, able to dodge around here, puts down the Crystallize, Flash Frost goes off towards the side, but Oddie is being caught out by Nate, and that's a 2-level advantage for the Swain. Oddie, though, dodges back. Here's the bottom side of the fight, though. Genthix locked up and taken out by Kaos Latin Gamers.
Yeah, and that means Oddie has to go to the top side. Another Mountain Drake on the table here for KLG. And with their composition, the siege is very powerful. Having these Drakes means you don't have to siege for as long. Less opportunity for the counter to come through. And so they try to get Plugo, who flashes away here from Oddie jumping in. So now he has no leap. He gets caught out. Pulled in. Genthix is slowed. And then, yeah, it looks like they try to turn just a bit there as Slow comes in with the ultimate and catches the Leona. That's the thing, the Leona, one reason that we weren't seeing her a lot before is when she commits, she is committed. She can't really get out. She only has an on button. There's no off for that. So once you're in, you do kind of take the brunt of the enemy damage.
I find one of her weaknesses as well is in the late game, there's no real peel potential. You're kind of trying to peel back, but most of it's about the engage. And so sometimes we see things like Braum or Tahm Kench just for that extra safety for your AD carry instead.
Yeah, it's kind of like you would expect a Leona that's in a peel position to stand by her AD carry, Q, E, and like peel for them that way. But against this composition, I don't think KLG are running at you really unless it's the Olaf or Slow's Rakan. But you want to reach the Anivia and stop the wave clear. You want to reach the Swain or even just stun lock the Xayah. So it's his job for this composition for Genthix to go in and try to lock somebody up instead of defend for Whitelotus.
Interesting itemization here from Slow as well. He's gone for the QSS as his basically first completed item. Hasn't even finished out that Celestial Eye. So just wants that cleanse as much as possible.
Yeah, allows him to just go straight in. It means that if he eats kind of the ultimate from Whitelotus, he can soak it for other people. But I think he's mostly worried about the Leona here, because as soon as you can hit the QSS, and then either turn the engage around and go into their backline, or get away. It's just very flexible there. I remember seeing a lot of like Spellbook where Rakans would swap to Cleanse partway through the game just so they didn't have to deal with CC and could kind of turn the tables in a fight.
So let's have a quick reevaluation of the state of the game here, Zirene, because it's been action. There's been a lot of action, a lot of jungle action as well. Let's have a look at exactly where we are. You've got Banner of Command on Jirall, you've got Abyssal Mask on him as well, stacking up Rod of Ages on both Plugo and Nate, but not at that 10-stack mark yet, so not really at their full potential. Alongside that, both the AD carries have their first item, so we are starting to scale into the game. The question is, have Rainbow7 done enough in the early game against Kaos Latin Gamer, who are willing to scale and willing just to wave close?
I actually don't think they have. I think Rainbow7 needed to do more, especially with a Kha'Zix in their composition. And when you're winning with the Leona, it's easier to continue winning. She's kind of a win-more champion. And here you're playing from behind, which means when she commits, she's probably going to be the one that dies, especially if it's a botched engage. And now with 2 Mountain Drakes, KLG get to just play around Baron, control the vision, choke out that vision. And if you face check them, you're face checking an Anivia wall, all these kind of tools that can stop you from getting out. And it has a lot of pick potential, so KLG can just continue to bait Baron and go for picks.
And engage from slow straight onto Oddie. He tries to jump away, flashes the wall as well, but the flash chase from Tienwulf. Re-engage from Genthix up towards the top side. Oddie is dodging around this. Tienwulf actually falls, and somehow Oddie gets out alive.
It looked like Oddie Ard into the bush. Then the bush gave him another reset on his stealth, so he was stealthed for too long, and Tienwulf couldn't find him.
Have to remember as well, an interaction we're seeing in some of these fights is the fact that Jirall can searing charge into the Anivia wall and break it. So if they're using that for zone control, Jirall can actually get rid of it and help his team reposition in a fight.
Yeah, it's actually a really great point, Medic, because it just completely obliterates the wall. It doesn't just like chunk a little part out of it. It gets rid of the whole thing.
I saw him escape from sticky situations twice in that last fight because of that. And it's just, it's the junglers. Like, we keep talking about it, but look at this sort of play and tell me this game is not a matter of pride for Tienwulf and Oddie.
He E's flashes while invisible, gets into the brush.
Gets the heal.
Oh, he turns, then he goes into the brush, then he R's, so Tienwulf can't find him, and then when he can, the Q that would have killed him is just a little bit to the side. He was predicting him to go up instead of to the left. But these flashes are instantaneous. Like, that is blood in your eyes. I am going to kill you. I'm going to find you, chase you down. But Oddie's been pretty clever with the way he's been avoiding. I think he should have died like 2 more times than he has, but it's based off of the way he's been playing on this Kha'Zix. You can tell he's very comfortable.
That he is. Nate did burn his teleport in that last fight as well, whereas Jirall was already there, so there's a teleport advantage in that bottom lane for Rainbow7. Game still basically on a knife edge here. 1,000 gold the difference. Double mountain on Kaos Latin Gamers as well, but Oddie sees blood and wants to take out Plugo, pops the Seraphs, and just retreats for the moment.
That's the ultimate down there from Oddie, who actually has a lot of out-of-combat movement speed now with the Mobies and the Serrated Dirk. Tienwulf is walking straight up. Looks like he's
Solar Flare misses off towards the side. Seiya caught out slow, goes in with the quickness, but Seiya cleansed away the original Stormer, so able to get away. Chain of Corruption lands on the back line as well as Whitelotus opens up from the side. We haven't talked much about him in that bottom lane, but he is on 2 items on Varus, who does, of course, that maximum and missing HP damage on his W now, so has a huge amount of burst if he can get an empowered Q off.
Yeah, also has the rapid fire cannon, so a little extra range when approaching these fights.
Oddie and Genthix team up to take out slow, and now it's a 4v5. Jirall on his way up as well. Oddie and Genthix just trying to run away from this one. Jump.
What?
Genthix hasn't got flash. No flash on Oddie either. He's dead.
Why did he?
He died. And Tienwulf re-engages Genthix there as well. Here comes the feathers out from Fix. Corner of the force got up towards the side as well. Genthix the first to fall. Seiya dodging around the back of this fight, but Nate puts down the Vision of Empire to try and catch out the Cassiopeia. Never move, pulled back on Jirall. Now he has to flash. Fix flashed forward as well. Here comes the chase. Another great crystallize onto Jirall. He's pulled back by the net move straight into the Storms. And that is Kaos Latin Gamer getting the top of that fight.
Yeah, but they might go for the Baron now because the fact that both junglers are down, but they have a lot of HP here, and it was pretty much only Whitelotus and Seiya was chunked out, but they're not going to commit for it here. They're not even going to like actually start it up at all.
Even after taking those 2 side lane turrets really early on, we have to remember mid tower's still up. Like, there's so many other objectives for Kaos Latin Gamers to take before they fight for the Baron. although they have been fighting in that area for quite a long time.
Yeah, look at that. Oddie runs straight up onto slow. Slow, even though he W's, he still gets caught, just absolutely destroyed. And what confused me here is Oddie doesn't jump the wall. He jumps forward to jump the wall.
I understand your confusion.
This game has been very confusing for me,
Yes.
but I've been absolutely loving it. Everybody's just like going all in. I feel like they're just using cooldowns willy-nilly. And even right there, it's like, oh, just throw that out. Let's go ahead and throw a flash here, throw an ultimate there. That feels really good. And Jirall, ooh, he still got caught by the never move and then pulled back in after the E.
It's just so back and forth between these two teams. And like we've talked about Tienwulf and Oddie and the pride they have and the battle they've been having.
They're
You
the
have to
ones
remember.
dying.
But it also, it's for the rest of the team as well. Both entire lineups will have a huge amount of pride. I think we heard Seiya saying before, you can lose every game at MSI. You just can't lose to KLG. Because if you do, you go home with your tail between your legs. And that is how much this game means for both these teams. Once again, it's Barons, I mean. Once again, it's vision control.
Yeah, vision control. The push in mid is something that KLG have not completely committed to. They could shove out side lanes, then go mid, and then just go ahead and maybe get that turret or at least the Cloud Drake, which wasn't taken during that replay, and then just be up 3 Drakes. But these double mountains, it's something that's making Rainbow7 constantly have to hang around this top side of the map and make sure that this Baron just isn't being taken. So it's just wrestling control back and forth with this Baron buff.
And it is very interesting to see because it doesn't feel like either team are really capitalizing on a team fight win. You get the team fight win, you reset, you come back to the same place and you fight it. That seems to be what's happening. And now we're going to see another fight as they try and catch out Plugo. There's the Solar Prism coming down. So much damage on it towards Slow. He's dead already. The chase coming in from the rest of KLG as Nate jumps into the backline. Whitelotus low. Jirall the front line, but Whitelotus is dead. And KLG collapse on the fight. Oddie has to leap away to safety, but Seiya can't do that. A superb petrifying gauge turns it around. He has the flash. In the end, KLG win the fight.
And right now, you said they weren't capitalizing on one team fights. Tienwulf, very low right now. He's the one who would be securing this Baron if they go for it. Oddie, they have to keep eyes on him because he has a chance to steal it if they go for it, which I think is going to dissuade them. I think nobody will be able to capitalize.
Once again, it just resets mid-priority for these teams, so important. Seiya did such a good job of keeping himself alive in that fight as well. The instantaneous cleanse into the flash across the wall as well. He's 4-0-0 on this Cassiopeia. Let's have another look because it's Rainbow7 that initiates.
I love that cleanse there from Plugo. He gets both ultimates from the bottom lane. He was hit by White Lotus's root and he was hit by the Solar Flare. That's a 2-for-1 there with that Summoner spell. He gets out, then they turn on the Genthix and both supports are now down. But Nate does so much work with how he arrived in that team fight off of the teleport. Nate, we talked about him not getting a lot of attention. The Swain was able to survive the lane phase. Sure, he was down in CS, but now he's taken off. You see, did the most damage there, but the Baron!
Oddie's in there, but no! Tienwulf wins the smite fight, Slow dead. Tienwulf in the midst of it all, fixed there as well. Doesn't have the flash, trying to turn it back across to White Lotus. Nate's got the flank on here as well. Caught the Force God knocks up 2. Seiya's just unleashing bang after bang onto the backs of KLG, and Nate and Plugo have to run away for their lives.
But that's KLG getting the Baron, Rainbow7 winning the team fight, and we have to see what went into that because KLG looked like they were trying to pick up that Baron to try and just get it as soon as possible. Oddie jumps in, and then it was just a smite fight there. So close between them again.
This battle could go either way. This game is just incredibly back and forth. And consistently, it's these big names that are stepping up. You know, you see Plugo and Fix making the big plays. Tienwulf landing this smite in the end as well.
Yeah, they end up getting enough vision or at least time to see that it started up here. The Solar Flare comes down, it slows the DPS. Genthix can't lock it down in time, and Oddie moves in with the smite. He wanted to smite Q. The smite comes off a little early. It drops to 175. And Tienwulf picks it up, which saves the game for them because they lose this team fight. If this was a lost team fight and a lost Baron, the gold would be much closer now. But KLG now have all the gold from the Baron, and they have all that gold from being able to shove out the waves. Oddie
trying to sneak around the side. Sacrificing yourself for a Cloud Drake doesn't seem wise to me.
Get the smite.
So that's true. He would win another battle between him and Tienwulf. Kaos Latin Gamers, 3 dragons, a 4,000 gold lead now as well. Have yet to lose a tower in this game and have this scaling wave push as well.
And they should be able to get this mid turret, but they might be afraid of the fact that there is a Leona there. And yeah, they're just going to walk up, use the double mountains. That's the third turret. All outers are now down for KLG with this push.
I have to give credit to Nate for his ability to come back in this game. He was quite far behind in that top lane, now actually ahead on farm, 4-1-4 on the Swain as well, and just there's so much damage in this fight. Whitelotus is pulled out, he's charmed, and Nate gets his 5th kill. Kaos Latin Gamers capitalizing every single time they can.
Whitelotus.
Oh, Tienwulf for the chase onto Oddie. Oddie's like, hello, we met before around your red buff, but now you're in my jungle. And Tienwulf forces Oddie away.
And now he's got to go clear that Baron banner, or that bannered up cannon minion, and the rest of KLG push up mid for the inhib.
Be able to get this inhib, Tienwulf. It's not quite there yet, but KLG are still putting a lot of damage down onto Jirall. Vision of Empire won't be enough. Genthix, though, pulled back by the Never move, and that's the dead Leona. We talked about how you have to snowball with the Leona. Once she's 1 of 5, they might close the game out here, Zirene.
Nate has been doing so much work.
Dead again. They don't even need Tienwulf.
Plugo has been doing so much work. Nate has been following up so much on top of it. And KLG, they might take down Rainbow7. They're looking for this bottom side of the map.
Gonna go for that second inhibitor. Oh, Whitelotus destroyed and deleted by Kaos Latin Gamers, and now they're on the Nexus towers. We'll wait, they've got a minion wave here. They need to clear that inhibitor first before they can take down the Nexus.
Yeah, Whitelotus caught back-to-back. This is the batting order. Rainbow7 are routed.
Batter up and Jirall is down. Solar Flare comes out from Genthix, but Seiya's just trying to do what he can from the side. Catches onto Tienwulf for great petrifying gaze. Is it Seiya? Is it the king? He can't quite get enough damage down, and KLG will close it out. They remove Genthix from Summoner's Rift as well.
Well, Oddie's up right now. He's going to try to go save the game.
I can't quite take out Slow, who flashes away. Plugo with the flash forward. Oddie dodging around. Doesn't have the damage. Nate with the triple kill. The Nexus is the new target, and the minions will help them out in the end. They're waiting for Plugo to resurrect, but in the battle of Latin America, the South wins as KLG take down Rainbow7.
And now the group is flipped on its head. Rainbow7 1-1. Kaos Latin Gamers 1-1. Gambit eSports currently sit 2-0 at the top. Well, Rainbow7 will have to bounce back from this one.
I'm looking forward to the next game now, Zirene, because Ascension put the spear to Rainbow7 when they played. It was an incredibly close game, and now we get to see KLG take on Ascension. This group has been full of surprises, and I think this is the latest in a long line to come.
The biggest surprise so far has been Rainbow7's games have not been that clean. They were kind of taking the distance by Ascension in their first game. In the second game, it was neck and neck, a bloodbath back and forth. And they were expected by the analysts to go 3-0 to dominate the group, to be a clear favorite here. But in their 2 games that we've seen so far, they need to bounce back if they want to make it out of this group. Because remember, 4 teams enter per group. 1 leaves. There's no second place here. There's no third. You have to top your group if you want to move forward.
And you have to be picking up these wins. Every game does count. It is double round robin, remember, so we'll have day 3 in 2 days' time when these teams will play against each other again. But if you're losing games against your fierce rivals who are challenging for that top spot, you never know if that's going to be the difference between making it into the knockouts or getting kicked out in the play-ins once again.
And like you said, it makes us even more excited for the games that are coming up. Kaos Latin Gamers versus Ascension. If Kaos Latin Gamers can go 2-1 on the day, that is completely unexpected. And then it's up to Rainbow7 up against the undefeated Gambit eSports as that 6th game of the day to actually just make it a 3-way tie at the top.
That would be incredible. A 3-way tie at the top at the end of day 1 would be actually unbelievable to me. I don't think anyone really expected that. Maybe we'll see the second group be quite as even. I'd really like it to. Many people saying Supermassive are going to top that one.
But this one, people were saying Rainbow7
would top, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so surprising. But also, the volatility of the best of ones means you have to come in with your best foot forward. You have to be picking what is strongest for you and playing to your strengths. And right there, I thought that Kaos Latin Gamers not only played to their strengths, but they were able to actually shore up a lot of their weaknesses. Nate was the big question mark for me. He doesn't get a lot of attention. They didn't put him on a tank. They put him on something that wins the lane. He went even in lane, a little bit behind, but then the team fighting, he was way more effective catching people out. And the Swain passive whenever you had Plugo landing a Q, he was pulling somebody back. The pick after pick after pick made it so that game ended a lot faster than it should have.
And that it did. To hear more about that game, let's send it over to Shox and our analysts.
Thank you very much, guys. I have to echo that sentiment. Very surprised by Nate and how well he played. As said, he is that new guy coming into the top lane, had a fantastic game. Overall, it is KLG, it is LATAM South that is victorious in this huge battle. But there was a lot going on, and we got to talk about the junglers, Oddie and Tienwulf. They are the guys that we talked about a lot and their rivalry before the game. And straight off the bat, from the beginning of the game, they were in each other's jungler. They were scoping each other out.
Yeah, it was really unexpected from Oddie specifically, just because I was expecting, much like Tienwulf, you know what? If there's a ward down, Jirall got the ward down, so he recognized that it was going to be I would say, pathing towards blue buff. Tienwulf's going to go to his own red buff. Okay, that's fine. Oddie, you know what? You switch sides. That's great from him. But then he decided to go straight towards the opposite side of the map. I loved it.
Yeah, and it was just smart creative pathing from Oddie in the sense that I've picked myself Kha'Zix. I know that the enemy Olaf gets low when he's clearing his own jungle.
Yes.
So as we bring up the replay, let's just see exactly how he does it, because the fact that he just runs over as the ward dies. So Tienwulf doesn't quite spot this. He's not expecting it at all. He thinks you're going to trade jungle, and then he ends up losing his life.
And you know what? All of this planning that Oddie does from this point forward goes down the drain if the Olaf just goes red buff. If he goes red buff, he takes red buff, he gets the hell out of there. Yeah. He's not even going to be low. He just really is banking on the fact that Olaf is so comfortable knowing that it's going to be Kha'Zix on the opposite side of the map that he should just be alone. He nails it.
Yeah, those were the mind games. As said, these two had dealt a couple of blows to each other over Twitter, over social media, and over interviews in the last couple of years. And this was actually the first time that they met on the Rift. And it didn't stop there in that level 1 in Fade. Oddie, he got the first hit down on Tienwulf, but Tienwulf said, no, this can't keep going. And we were going to take a look at a bit more plays because these guys just kept searching each other out.
I just love the fact that Tienwulf's mental did not go boom after 2 of these plays, because these were very tilting plays.
They certainly were, but the fact that you constantly had this back and forth, the thing about this matchup in particular is it's one of those rare occasions where, in terms of the dueling, Olaf will eventually outscale the Kha'Zix. Even in isolation, you think, oh, okay, Kha'Zix can win this, but as long as Olaf is landing all those axes, he's going to get the kill. And we saw small microplays like this where Oddie had to be saved by his teammates, but you could just see that both these junglers were like, I'm going to kill you. One of us has to die today.
So, I don't want to be a party pooper, but this is a great battle between these two junglers, but it's also very important if you look at the standings, who gets this game win.
Yeah.
Or you go 0-2 as KLG, or you go 2-0 as Rainbow7. And then I wonder, isn't it time to, after that level 1, kind of just consolidate and play to your own team, except for trying to scope each other out? Or is it just part of the bigger mind game?
I mean, I feel like one of the big things we're now starting to see from Rainbow7 is that they're actually not very effectively playing towards their win conditions. Their strategy is very much play a slow, passive early game, get an item or two, and then team fight. And sometimes they can be doing more with the compositions that they have. Like, they have a Varus and a Leona. Why are they not setting up more plays towards the bot side of the map? They also have a Cassio that has a lot of zone control and early Baron power, yet they're not setting up Baron properly, and they're trying to skip steps and just constantly looking for team fights.
Just like the Ascension game, Raz, in this one also, they let their opponents in the game, and we have to give praise to KLG as well. KLG fought and stayed in that game and had some phenomenal team fights together with Nate to stay in there.
And this was a point of comfort. Nate was so on point. This is something you just can't prepare for when Nate comes into this, picking up a carry pick like the Swain, and he comes out and showcases this in team fights. He was incredibly godly. That was real perks to him. Hitting on to the fact that what Vedius just mentioned, yeah, here's the thing. You can set up for this incredibly well if you're Rainbow7. Getting baited into a lot of these fights just draws the game out way too long.
And I feel like KLG as a team were known during the regular season for their aggression, for their willingness to be proactive. And sometimes it is kind of blind. They just run into things headlong without thinking. But in many of these situations, they were more than happy to take the battle to Rainbow7, and multiple times it worked out. Props to Nate for really stepping up, because his early laning phase was weak. We do have to call him out for that a little bit, but he definitely got better as the game progressed.
Absolutely fantastic Plugo as well on that Anivia, and just the whole team of KLG went. None of us really believed in them, we got to be honest. And also, if you just look at the facts, Rainbow7 was a huge favorite. So when it comes to kind of the mark they now made in the standings, they blow this group wide open by picking up this win.
Yes, they certainly did. Now, remember that Ascension, they go up against KLG next, and if they don't win, then it creates a huge gap between them and the rest of the teams, who could, in theory, create a 3-way tiebreaker for first place.
Well, let's take a look.
It's just insane the fact that Gambit can come out of this day unscathed, 3-0, especially after play-ins of Worlds when they just couldn't win a game.
Yeah, I mean, I also have to, you know, repeat that you guys are both wrong. You both said Rainbow7 would go 3-0. They dropped the game, and you said Ascension would do better than they have. But I think the takeaway, more than you guys being wrong, which you guys are, is that in general, it's nice that this group is different than we expected it to be, right? In a way, we had expected Rainbow7 to kind of come in and bulldoze it, but that's not the case.
I mean, props to you, Shox. You said at the start of the day you expected this group to be a little closer, and you know we were kind of expecting Rainbow7 to be the same Rainbow7 of old. Yet the big change in them seems to now kind of take away some of the confidence, I feel, and why mechanically they are still very strong individuals. We've seen it from Whitelotus, we've seen it from Seiya, we've seen it from Oddie a lot, but it does feel like that their team fighting isn't quite up to scratch, and they're just making a lot of haphazard decisions.
So 2 questions, one about each team now for you guys. Maybe Raz, Rainbow7, we had these big expectations. We see that they're struggling. A thing or two could have to do with the fact that Whitelotus is back after a long time being sidelines. Do you see them recovering and still taking that first place in the group?
Ooh, first place is a difficult one. I think they can. It'll just end up being a tie if they go up against Gambit. Gambit's looking really clean. I think the way they do it is not so much on Whitelotus. I think he's doing quite well for himself. It's the decision-making around what their composition is looking to do in the setup around it. Don't get baited into a lot of these fights, a lot of these skirmishes, because for this game, honestly, KLG, we're just looking for picks. We're fishing for picks. Sometimes it didn't work out, but Lion, or at least Rainbow7, were still more than willing to go back and try and get a pick or fight off that. Take a step back, relax in that instance, and you can actually come out ahead.
On the other side, KLG, I want to ask you, Andy, beforehand, we thought, well, KLG might not be more than a spoiler. They do have the capacity to take up wins here and there. Do you think they're more than that now? Can they be more than that with what you've seen?
It's difficult to say, only because I still feel like their playstyle has not changed a huge amount from what we saw during the regular season. And what Gambit has demonstrated is that you can prepare effectively for this team. Galio seems to be a pick that you really should consider higher value against this team, given the value they put on trying to put that. Like, we saw them diving bot tower, like in between the turrets at level 5, right? So they love going bot lane. And I feel like if you plan accordingly, this team's playstyle can be mitigated. If you don't, though, you can see what they are capable of.
So still a lot of question marks for both squads, but one thing is for certain, KLG is right now the best team in Latin America. They said it before, if you win this game, your whole year is good, but I think KLG will be looking to do a bit more. They have one more game coming up right now, though, KLG. They're going to face Ascension on stage and see if they can keep their momentum going. We'll be back right after this.
And he's spotted, but he's going in because he knows